Okay. I am making a Sacred Beast Yubel deck profile. I was wanting to try combining Yubel with the newer cards, just see if that is actually a lot of synergy, and I honestly really like it because with the Sacred Beast released spell, you can actually use that to be able to search for a Spirit of Yubel, and then because it can let you add a level 10 Fiend, so ordinarily you could add Raviel or either of the level 10 Yubels. I really like that, and then I also just like the fact I just like how Yubel actually kind of works with the Sacred Beast cards. One thing I'll go ahead and say now is that this is currently a 60 card deck list. So I still have some testing to do with it, but this is just what I currently have and what I currently like. So starting off with the monsters, I play 3 copies of Martyr of the Sacred Beasts. Martyr of the Sacred Beasts has a couple of effects. I apologize for if you notice the motion over some of the cards. It's because there's a ceiling fan that's currently being turned off. But anyway, Martyr has the effect that when summoned, you can take a Sacred Beast field spell and place it face up in the field zone, or you can take a Sacred Beast continuous spell or trap and place it face up in your spell and trap zone. And then if you control a Sacred Beast monster who's original, I think it's original. Let's see. Where is it? Okay, now. If you control another Sacred Beast monster, then you can special summon up to 2 more, or you can summon 2 more Martyr from your hand, deck, or graveyard. And you can only use each effect of Martyr once per turn. Next, I play 3 copies of Samsara D Lotus. Samsara D Lotus has 3 effects where you can, during the main phase, I think it's the main phase, it doesn't just be like a once per turn thing. Let's see. Okay, no, it's not. It's not phase specific, but it is not. It is amazing. I don't know why I'm going insane. I apologize for that a little bit. Lotus has the effect you can contribute it for cost to summon a Yubel monster from your hand, deck, or graveyard. I believe it might also be banished. Let's see. Incorrect. It only lets you summon a Yubel monster from your deck. And then, when your opponent activates a monster effect while you control this card and a Yubel monster, then you contribute this card for cost, once again, to then change that opponent's monster effect to destroy 1 Yubel monster your opponent controls. And then its final effect is during the end phase, if you control Yubel, not a Yubel monster, but specifically Yubel, you can special summon this card from your graveyard. You will use each effect of Lotus once per turn. Next, I play 3 copies of Gruesome Gravesquirmer. Gruesome Gravesquirmer I really like in this deck because you can just be doing Yubel things. And then, after you're confident your opponents use all their hand traps against the Yubel part of the deck, then you can use Gruesome Gravesquirmer's graveyard effect, banishing itself, and be able to summon something like Martyr of the Sacred Beasts from your hand. That has the effect that if you control no monsters or you control a fiend monster, you can special summon this card from your hand, and then you can destroy 1 monster from your hand or from your field. Not hand, only field. And then it has the graveyard effect. You can banish it to summon a 0/0 fiend from your hand, except for another copy of Gruesome Gravesquirmer. I'm going to make sure I have that effect correct. If you control a fiend, as a quick effect, you can summon this card, then destroy a Yubel or a monster that mentions it in your monster zone. Special summon a fiend with 0/0 attack from your hand or graveyard. Okay. So it summons itself, and you have the option of destroying a Yubel monster, and then it can, during your turn only, it can banish itself to summon a 0/0 fiend from your hand or grave. That's probably why I wasn't doing too well with Yubel, because I never realized Gruesome Gravesquirmer could summon from grave. Next, I play 3 copies of Dark Beckoning Beast. Dark Beckoning Beast has the effect on summon, add opening of the spirit gates, and then it also gives you additional normal summon of a 0/0 fiend. Next, I play 3 copies of Buyo the Dawn's Light. This card has the effect that the only one actually relevant here is it is a free summon by, I believe, target monster you control negates effects. Target a fiend effect monster you control negates effects, and if you do, special on this card. And then if Buyo is sent to the graveyard, you get to add a copy of Mutiny in the Sky from your deck or to your hand. And its final effect is while it's on the field, monsters in your leftmost and rightmost monster column cannot be destroyed by card effects. Next, I play one copy of Summoner of the Sacred Beasts. This card, as good as this card is at summoning Sacred Beast monsters, it's still not very good because it forces you to summon them in defense mode. But it is still good at summoning the Sacred Beasts. Because you can reveal it in your hand, discard a card, and summon a Sacred Beast monster from your hand. You can banish it from your graveyard, and then while it's in the graveyard, you can banish it and summon a Sacred Beast monster from your graveyard. The only downside of this card is that whenever you're summoning a Sacred Beast monster with its effects, it only summons them in defense mode. Which sometimes that's exactly what position you want them in, other times it's not. And let's see, I can't remember if it has an effect on field. Let's see if it's in your hands or summon. Retain defense position except for another discardable card. Take cards or stone series. Okay, and its effect on field is you can discard a card and summon a Sacred Beast monster from, what was it? I forget where it summoned from. From your hand or graveyard in defense position, except, and the only Sacred Beast monsters it cannot summon are level 8 monsters, meaning it can't summon itself. But I am considering playing a second copy of this card, just because this is a 60 card build, but for now I'm just trying one. Next, I play 3 copies of Spirit of Yubel. Spirit of Yubel can be summoned from your hand whenever your opponent's monster declares an attack. Spirit of Yubel cannot be destroyed by battle. You take no battle damage from battles involving Spirit of Yubel. And then if Spirit of Yubel is destroyed by card effect, then you can special summon, or it might just be destroyed, like the original Yubel. Let's see, where is it? Okay, if this card is destroyed, you summon Yubel from your hand, deck, or graveyard. And then when Spirit of Yubel is summoned, you can take a spell or trap that mentions Yubel from your deck and either add it to your hand or set it to your field. Speaking of Yubel, I play 3 copies of Yubel. Yubel has the effect of, or has the same protection effects as Spirit of Yubel. Can't be destroyed by battle. You take no battle damage from battles involving it. However, unlike Spirit Yubel, Yubel has the effect of when your opponent's monster targets it for an attack, then your opponent takes damage equal to their attacking monster's attack points. And then during your end phase, you have to tribute 1 monster, or else Yubel will self-destruct. And ordinarily, Yubel also has another effect where you can summon Terror Incarnate, but this version of the deck does not play Terror Incarnate or Ultimate Nightmare. Now, if I don't like the 4-card Buyo engine, then I'll take those out for Terror Incarnate's Ultimate Nightmare, and then probably also 1-for-1. But anyway, getting into the Sacred Beast monsters, I play 2 copies of Uriah, Lord of Searing Flames. Or I guess technically it's Inferno of the Sacred Beast, Uriah, Lord of Searing Flames. Each of these Sacred Beast monsters share the effect of they cannot be normal summoned or set, must be special summoned by the effect of a Sacred Beast card. Then you can reveal this card in your hand, add 1 Sacred Beast card of a specific type, Uriah as trap, Haman as spells, and Raviel as monsters. You add 1 card of that type, and then you discard 1 card. And then beyond that, they all have their own unique effects, whereas Uriah gains 1,000 attack for every trap card on the field or in the graveyard. And then, or not on the field. Uriah only gains 1,000 attack for every trap, attack and defense for every trap in the graveyard. And then Uri has also a mystical space typhoon that neither player can activate cards or effects in response to. Next, I play 3 copies of Haman, Lord of Calamity of the Sacred Beasts, Haman, Lord of Striking Thunder. Haman has the unique effect of, once per turn, mandatory effect. If a monster is sent to your opponent's graveyard, your opponent takes 1,000 damage. And then if Haman is destroyed, then you can make it activate its effect so you don't take damage for the rest of the turn. Next, I play 3 copies of Raviel, Lord of Phantasms. Or Infinity of the Sacred Beast, Raviel, Lord of Phantasms. Raviel has the unique effect of being able to, as a quick effect, tribute 2 other Sacred Beast monsters, ordinarily be 2 Mortar, to then be able to Raigeki your opponent, destroy all monsters they control, and then for each monster that's destroyed, Raviel gains 1,000 attack. Moving on to the spells, I play 1 copy of Mutiny in the Sky. Mutiny in the Sky will let you fusion summon a fiend or fairy fusion monster by returning monsters from your graveyard back to the deck. In this case, it'd be 3 fiends. There are 3 fairy or fiend monsters. And the Mutiny in the Sky also has the graveyard effect of... I need this one to remember. You can send a fiend or fairy monster from your hand or face-up field to the graveyard. Add this card to your hand. You can only use each effect of Mutiny in the Sky once per turn. Next, I play 1 copy of Mature Chronicle. Mature Chronicle has the effect where every time you summon a monster that mentions Yubel, or is Yubel, then it gets a... it might be a Yubel monster or mentions Yubel. It might be, that might be better. Yeah, every time you summon a Yubel monster or a monster that mentions Yubel, it gets a 1 Chronicle counter. And then once per turn, you can remove a number of Chronicle counters to then be able to use one of the following effects, which I don't have them memorized, so I apologize. 1 counter, special summon a Yubel monster from your or special summon 1 Yubel from your graveyard, not Yubel monster, Yubel. I only said that because I misread. 2, add 1 of your banished cards to your hand. 3, banish a card from your deck. 4, destroy 1 card on your field. And then 5, add a super polymerization from your deck to your hand. And I did get the effect wrong. You can remove counters to activate its effects, but you can only use each of the effects once per turn. So if you end up giving your Mature Chronicle 15 counters, then you can use all the effects. But the main thing I like about Mature Chronicle is that it can technically be used to recycle resources. So you can banish your Summoner of the Sacred Beasts, summon a Sacred Beast from the graveyard, and then as long as Mature Chronicle has enough counters for it, you can remove counters to return that banished Summoner of the Sacred Beast from back to your hand. It's just a little bit of synergy that I've noticed before. Next, I play 1 copy of Terraforming. This lets you add a field spell from your deck to your hand. Ordinarily, it'll let you add Nightmare Throne from your deck to your hand. Though if you really need it, you could also use it to add 1 or 2 copies of Fallen Paradise of the Sacred Beasts from your deck to your hand. Fallen Paradise has the effect of up to thrice per turn, you can send 3 cards of the same type, monster, spell, or trap, to then special summon a Sacred Beast monster from your hand, deck, or graveyard. And then any monster summoned with this effect is unaffected by your opponent's spell and trap cards. And then it also has the effect of once per turn, if you control a Sacred Beast monster whose original level is 10, then you can draw 2 cards. Next, I play 3 copies of Sacred Beast's Thunderclap. Sacred Beast's Thunderclap has the effect where once per turn, you can activate its effect to place 2 more Thunderclaps from your hand, or from your deck, or graveyard. Hand, deck, or grave, I believe it is. Yes, hand, deck, or graveyard. Face up, and then you can also reveal a Sacred Beast monster whose original level is 10 in your hand, to then be able to place the field spell, Fallen Paradise of the Sacred Beast, face up in your field zone. Next, because it was mentioned before, I play 3 copies of Super Polymerization. This card lets you discard a card to fusion summon a monster using monsters from either side of the field as fusion material, and neither player can activate cards or effects in response to its activation. Next, I play 3 copies of Sacred Beasts Released. This card, when activated, lets you add 3 Sacred Beast monsters with different names from your deck to your hand, and then you discard 2 cards. So essentially, this is Graceful Charity. But then, Sacred Beasts Released also has the graveyard effect if you can banish it, except for the turn it was sent there, to be able to add a level 10 Pyro, Thunder, or Fiend monster from your deck to your hand. So you can use it to add any of the Sacred Beasts, or you can even use it to add Spirit of Yubel or Yubel. My favorite thing to do with this is add, just get the Sacred Beast monsters in hand that you need, and then discard a Yubel monster and any other Fiend. So that then, before you even commit a normal summon, you can then return those 2 cards you discarded back to the deck and summon Phantom of Yubel, so that you're a little more insulated against hand traps. Next, I play 3 copies of Nightmare Pain. Nightmare Pain has the effect of, during your main phase, you destroy a dark monster from your hand or field, to then be able to add a Yubel, or I believe it's a Yubel card from deck to hand. Add a Yubel or a card that mentions it from your deck to your hand, except for another Nightmare Pain. Okay, and then it has another effect where your opponent takes any battle damage from battles involving Yubel monsters that you would have taken. So this just makes it so if your opponent attacks Yubel with Blue Eyes, your opponent will take 6,000 points of damage instead of only 3,000. 3,000 battle damage through Nightmare Pain, and then 3,000 effect damage through Yubel. And then Nightmare Pain has one final effect, where all monsters your opponents control must attack if they're able to. And they must attack a Yubel monster. Next, I play 3 copies of Nightmare Throne. Nightmare Throne has the effect on activation to add a 0/0 Fiend. When you take a 0/0 Fiend from your deck, you either add it to your hand or destroy it. So this will let you add Gruesome Grave Squirmer, Samsara Lotus, Dark Beckoning Beast, or Martyr of the Sacred Beasts. You can add those or destroy those. Usually, though, if you're destroying something, you'll destroy Spirit of Yubel, so you can summon Yubel. And then Nightmare Throne has another effect where, once per turn, if a Yubel monster on your field is destroyed, then you can take a Yubel monster from your graveyard that's 1 level higher or lower, add it to your hand, or your extra deck if it's an extra deck monster, and then you can special summon it ignoring its summoning conditions. And then you can only use each effect of Nightmare Throne once per turn. Lastly, for the spells, I play 3 copies of Opening of the Spirit Gates. This lets you add Dark Beckoning Beast, and then once per turn, it'll let you add a continuous spell from your graveyard to your hand if you control a level 10 monster. And then its final effect lets you discard a card to summon a 0/0 Fiend from your graveyard. So you can actually use this to bring back Martyr of the Sacred Beasts, instead of returning it back to your hand during your opponent's end phase. But overall, I do still like Opening because it's able to recycle some of the other cards. Like, if your opponent stops you from getting Thunderclap back from your graveyard with its effect, you can use it to grab Thunderclap back. Or you can even just use it to grab back a spell card so you can have 3 spells to send with the field spell. Which, fun fact, the field spell, I didn't mention it, lets you send 3 cards of the same type from your hand or field. Which one of my friends was not happy about before, because I used that effect, he chained another card's effect to return a Martyr to my hand, and I could still send all 3 Martyrs. Moving on to the traps, I play 1 copy of Sacred Beast Combined Assault. This card has the effect of letting you summon a Sacred Beast monster from your graveyard in defense mode. Then if you have 2 or more Sacred Beast monsters whose original levels are 10, with different names on your field, you can then negate the effect of 1 card on your opponent's field. Then it has the graveyard effect, letting you fusion summon. I believe it has to be a Phantasm fusion monster. Yeah, fusion summon a Phantasm fusion monster from your extra deck using the monster from your hand or field. One card I was considering playing in this deck, which I probably will actually play. I'll probably take out the Booyah engine just so I can play it. And that is Dimension Fusion Destruction, as it is essentially a spell version of this card's graveyard effect, but also lets you banish from your graveyard as well. And then, next, I play 3 copies of Abyss of the Sacred Beasts. Abyss of the Sacred Beasts has the effect of, once per turn, you can activate its effect to be able to get 2 more copies from your field, or from your hand, deck, or graveyard, face up. Then, as a quick effect, you can use Abyss of the Sacred Beasts, sending the activated card to the graveyard for cost. Or, you activate it, send itself and 2 more copies of Abyss of the Sacred Beasts to the graveyard for cost. To target 1 monster your opponent controls and flip it face down. So I like that it is a Book of Moon effect, but also you can get 3, so you can send it with the field spell, and then be able to summon a Sacred Beast. And if you summon Uriah, that's an instant 3,000 attack that Uriah will have. But Abyss of the Sacred Beasts, like Thunderclap and Martyr, because I realized I forgot to mention those effects. Martyr has the graveyard effect. If you have a level 10 Sacred Beast in your graveyard, you can activate its effect to return Martyr to your hand during your opponent's end phase. Thunderclap has the end phase effect of, during your opponent's end phase, to return it to your hand. And then Abyss has the end phase during your opponent's end phase. All of them are your opponent's end phase, in case I didn't make that clear enough. But during your opponent's end phase, Abyss will actually activate to put itself at the bottom of your deck. And then lastly for the traps, I play 3 copies of Eternal Favorite. Eternal Favorite has 2 effects, and has the effect of, you can only use each effect of Eternal Favorite once per turn. So you have 2 of them set, you can use both of them in the same turn. Where Eternal Favorite will let you add summon a yubel monster that's in your graveyard or banished. And then you can discard a card and send this card to the graveyard for cost, to then be able to fusion summon a yubel fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from either side of the field as fusion material. The only downside is you have to use a yubel and not a yubel monster. But I do like that the deck essentially has 6 Super Polys in the deck. With 3 Eternal Favorite and 3 Super Poly itself. 7 if you want to include Mature Chronicle, which technically can search it if you can give it 5 counters. But that is it for the main deck. Like I said, the main deck is 60 cards. I just wanted to try it, see how it works. Worst case scenario, I don't like it, and I try a different variant. So I believe I'm still going to try Dark World. Though I've also tried Azamina and, what was it? Fiendsmith. Don't know why I was trying to say Sky Striker. But it was Fiendsmith that I tried. Anyway, moving on to the extra deck. For the extra deck, I play 1 copy of Link Grebo. Because of how Martyr, there are situations where you'll just be left with Martyrs, so having access to Link Grebo, I feel like is worth it. As when opponent's monster declares attack, you can contribute Link Grebo as a quick effect, to be able to reduce that attacking monster's attack to 0. And then, as another quick effect, Link Grebo will let you tribute a level 1 monster on your field to be able to summon itself back. And you can use each effect of Link Grebo once per turn. Next, I play 1 copy of IP Masquerena. IP Masquerena has the effect of being able to link summon during your opponent's main phase using this card you control. And then a link monster that's link summoned using this card cannot be destroyed by opponent's card effects. Next, I play 1 copy of Barricade Board Blocker. Barricade Board Blocker has the effect on summon you can discard a card so that during the end phase, you can add a field spell or continuous spell from your graveyard to your hand. And then while Barricade Board Blocker is on the field, your opponent cannot destroy your face-up spell cards. Next, lastly for the links, I play 1 copy SP Little Knight. Little Knight has the effect on summon, if it was link summoned using a Fusion, Synchro, Xyz, or Link monster, you can target 1 card on the field or in the graveyard and banish it. If you use this effect, however, you cannot attack directly for the rest of the turn. Then SP Low Knight has another effect where you can, when your opponent activates a card or effect, you can banish 2 monsters on the field with at least one being. You target 2 monsters on the field, at least one being a monster you control. Banish both until the end phase. Next, I play 1 copy of Varudris Final, or the, what was it? Yeah, the Bringer of the End Times. No, the Final Bringer. I knew there was Final in there somewhere. But this card has a few effects. When your opponent activates a card or effect, you can detach a material to negate that effect. Then you can detach another material to destroy that card. Has another effect where if it declares an attack while it has material, you can target 1 card in the field and destroy it. And then if this XZ summon card you control is destroyed, then you can target 1 card in the field and destroy it. For the fusion monsters, which is the rest of the extra deck, I play 1 copy of Magistus Chorozo. This card I'm playing in here as a super poly target for Branded specifically, as it just requires a spellcaster and then a fusion, synchro, Xyz, or link monster. But there's also a couple other decks that this would work against, like, it works against Shadal, it works against Invoked, it works against Fairy Tale. There's just a few decks that it works as a super poly target against, so I figure I'll use this instead of something like over Gigastapelia, specifically for Branded. But it has the effect of, let's see, I forget how it's specifically worded. Is negate. I know it's a negation of some kind. I just can't remember if it's an attack or a monster effect. Okay, when an opponent's monster declares an attack, target it, negate the attack. If you do, this card gains attack equal to that monster's original, or that monster's attack till the end of the turn. And then you can return that monster to the hand. So I just like that fact that it can, when opponent's monster declares attack, you can return that monster to the hand, negate the attack, it gets bigger, then you have the optional effect of returning that monster to the hand. Next, I play 2 copies of Thunder Dragon Colossus. I actually made one of my friends very upset with this card, but it's not necessarily that I used it, or more or less what I said before using it. In which, before our match even started, I asked him to please not Droll and Lockbird me as against, and this was against Sacred Beast Fiendsmith. But as I asked him not to Droll and Lockbird me because that card is a wing button against Sacred Beast most of the time, unless I have a pretty good hand. I then proceeded to Game 1, use Droll and Lockbird against him. Game 2, I made Thunder Dragon Colossus against him. And then Game 3, I once again used Droll and Lockbird against him. I was the villain. The fun part, though, is the fact that he made a board. I used Forbidden Droplet. And then I didn't have enough resources to make my own board. But Thunder Dragon Colossus has the effect... I'll get back to this. I apologize for that little rant. But Thunder Dragon Colossus has the effect of... It has to either be fusion summoned or special summoned by tributing a thunder monster in which you've activated the effect of a thunder monster in your hand. What do you know? Summoner of the Sacred Beast and Hamon just happen to activate in your hand, and Summoner just happens to be able to summon Hamon from your hand or graveyard. It's almost like the deck was designed with Thunder Dragon Colossus in mind. But Colossus also has the floodgate effect of your opponent cannot add cards from their deck to their hand except by drawing them. So you cannot activate something like Terraforming while your opponent has Colossus, but you could activate Pot of Greed if it were legal. And then Colossus has the final effect of if it would be destroyed by battle or card effect, then you can banish a Thunder monster from your graveyard instead. Next, I play 1 copy of Loose the Dusk's Dark. Loose the Dusk's Dark has the effect of monsters in your leftmost and rightmost monster column cannot be destroyed, or cannot be destroyed by card effects. Once per turn, you can, let's see, I can't remember if it sends from hand or deck. Let's see, where is it? Once per turn, you can target a card your opponent controls, send a fiend or fairy monster from your deck to the graveyard, and if you do, destroy that card. If another card or cards you control is destroyed by card effect, except in damage step, you can target a card on the field and destroy it. I'll be honest, the main reason I was putting this card in the deck was just because one of my friends really likes playing Blitzclick, and I realized I don't know how to play against Blitzclick with Sacred Beast, as they go, oh yeah, board? Not anymore. The best thing I can do against them is make the Chaotic Phantasmal Sacred Beast to make them have to use 3 destruction effects on it. Which I did find out through asking judges. My friend did cheat against me with Whisker Blitzclick's effect. Because he said that he can use it if it summons 3 monsters to destroy the same card 3 times. But I've been told by judges that Whisker has to destroy different cards with that effect. It can't all be 3 on the same card. Anyway, enough of that rant. Next I play 1 copy of Phantom of Yubel. Phantom Yubel has the effect where you cannot be used as fusion material, but you can fusion summon it by taking 2 0/0 fiends, or 1 being Yubel, another just being it might just be a Yubel monster plus fiend. A Yubel monster plus a fiend with 0 attack and defense. But you take those from your graveyard or banish, and shuffle them back into the deck, and then summon this card. And then Phantom Yubel has the effect when your opponent activates a monster effect, you contribute it as for cost to change that opponent's monster effect to your opponent destroys a Yubel monster from their hand, deck, or field. Next, I play 2 copies of the Chaotic Phantasmal Sacred Beasts. One thing I found out with this card is that its imperm effect, while being thrice per turn, is not a hard thrice per turn. So if I have both of them in play, then that is a 6 times per turn. I can target a monster, negate its effects, and then gain half its attack as life points. However, I have never been able to summon all 3 or both of them. Not all 3. There's only 2. But I do like the fact that its effects aren't once per turn. Like, you can only use this card's name effects that many times per turn. But it has the effect where you can imperm and then gain half attack. You can use that thrice per turn. And then twice per turn, it cannot be destroyed by card effects. The only issue I have with this card is it is a twice per turn, it can't be destroyed by card effects, whereas I wish it had can't be destroyed by card effects in general. And then make sure. Okay, yeah, it has no other effects. But I feel like eventually there's going to be a deck that's going to abuse this card, as its only fusion requirement isn't 3 different level or 3 Sacred Beast monsters with different names. Its fusion requirement is 3 level 10 monsters that cannot be normal summoned or set. So eventually, there is going to be an archetype that's going to be specifically level 10 monsters that cannot be normal summoned or set. And this card is going to be abused in it. That's all this card needs to be broken. And then lastly, for the extra deck, I play 3 copies of Yubel, the Loving Defender Forever. Loving Defender Forever has the effect that when fusion summoned, you can activate the effect to inflict 500 points of damage to your opponent for every monster that was used for its fusion summoning, as its material is a Yubel monster plus 1 or more effect monsters. This is the main super poly target. And then Loving Defender cannot be destroyed by battle or card effects. You take no battle damage from battles involving it. And then at the start of the damage step, or at the end of the damage step, I don't remember when it actually takes place. At the end of the damage step, describe battle an opponent's monster, and you can inflict damage to your opponent equal to that monster's attack on field, and then banish that monster. And the only once per turn on this card is the burn effect when summoned. But that is it for my 60 card Sacred Beast Yubel deck profile. If you have any decks for decks like to see be made in the future, decks like to see face each other, or suggestions for improving this deck, feel free to comment down below. I always read the comments and try out any suggestions. And if you're still here, despite my rambling at times, which I appreciate if you're still here, but anyway, thanks for watching.